The British people want a good deal that sets us on course for a brighter future. That deal is within our grasp, and I am determined to deliver it.
Scotland will be an independent nation.
How much more hope will be possible when we take Scotland's future into Scotland's hands and become an independent country?
Order! Order!
The ayes to the right, 202. The noes to the left, 432.
The ayes to the right, 202. The noes, order! The ayes to the right, 202. The noes to the left, 432. So the noes have it, the noes have it. Unlock!
She cannot seriously believe that after 2 years of failure, she is capable of negotiating a good deal for the people of this country. The most important issue facing us is that the government has lost the confidence of this House and this country. I therefore, Mr. Speaker, inform you I have now tabled a motion of no confidence in this government. And I'm pleased that motion will be debated tomorrow, so this House can give its verdict on the sheer incompetence of this government and pass that motion of no confidence in the government.
We need to confirm whether this government still enjoys the confidence of the House. I believe that it does, but given the scale and importance of tonight's vote, it's right that others have the chance to test that question if they wish to do so. I can therefore confirm that if the official opposition table a confidence motion this evening in the form required by the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, the government will make time to debate that motion tomorrow.
Both in the House, in private meetings and in public, the Prime Minister and other government ministers spent their time defending this proposed deal, not on the grounds of its merits, but on the grounds that if you don't have that deal, you have either no deal or no Brexit. And this is simply untrue. Indeed, it's facile. And the purpose of this meeting today is, in effect, to show that it's not true. To present, for the first time, actually, in this whole debate, a combination of a plan and a negotiating strategy together to show how they can be delivered. And it's on that basis that Don was able to say to you that there is an opportunity here to win a brighter and better future, not simply just to see off a difficult present. And that strategy and that combination of strategy and policy, it works in a way that the other alternatives talked about by other groups, whether it's Norway Plus or second referenda or other things, don't do. If you apply the analysis of both negotiation and policy to them, you find that it deliver. You heard from Peter that we have nothing to fear in the World Trade Organization, but I just enjoyed the aside of a fact that's been hiding in plain sight throughout this, which is that when he negotiated the Uruguay round, which those of you who know about trade policy will know effectively cut the average level of tariffs dramatically around the world, that had a much bigger impact on British trade than the single market did, which is why in the last 20 years you've seen us go from 60-40 of our trade to Europe to 60-40 of our trade to the rest of the world. So it's a dramatic demonstration. But he made it very plain that the World Trade Organization issue, the so-called no-deal issue, is not one to be feared. It's not the Armageddon that's been said. The current proposal has got many, many, many failings, but the big ones are it gives us no legal protection against a never-ending backstop, and indeed from that a never-ending customs union membership. As Ali made very plain, it's unacceptable to those of us who call ourselves unionists, and that's the DUP, but others too, because it separates out Northern Ireland from the United Kingdom. It concedes everything the European Union wants, including £39 billion handed over without condition, and as a result ruins our negotiating position for the next stage, the future economic partnership. So you must expect that if this deal goes through, the European Union will get everything it wants in the next stage, and we will not get anything that we want in the next stage. That's because the government's been driven by large irrational fears over World Trade Organization, and Peter demonstrated why that was one of the reasons why that was wrong. Dominic said quite rightly that we want to stay friends with our allies, neighbours and friends in the European Union, and so we do. But we shouldn't underestimate the extent to which the risks in a World Trade Organization are strategically asymmetric as well. Because Britain is protected by three things that the European Union member states are not. We have a floating currency, which will act to buffer any changes. We have the right to make our own decisions in the interests of our own business and nobody else in the aftermath. And we, of course, have the upsides of the future trade deals with the rest of the world. Against that, our friends, who we want to protect through this, like the Republic of Ireland, will suffer through their agricultural exports being diminished. Belgium and Netherlands will suffer because of cross-channel trade being inhibited if it goes the way the Armageddon specialists say. Northwest France, the same. Peter laid out in detail how the Calais authorities see this. And Spain has other strong links which will be at risk if the Armageddon scenario plays through. And, of course, all the new member states are beneficiaries of that £39 billion. So there are many, many reasons for a WTO stroke no deal outcome not being, I think Peter's comment was it's not a stable state. It won't last very long if it does happen, which is important in the negotiating context. Indeed, I suspect we won't go there. The other point that Shanker made, very, very important point, again, which doesn't get seen or repeated often enough, is that in this argument, we are seen as the odd man out in Europe. The truth is the European Union, in trade terms, is the odd man out in the rest of the world. Its whole approach, essentially a protectionist approach to free trade, is at odds with all of the most progressive countries in the world. And so we would find ourselves in the immediate aftermath of departure, we would find ourselves in alliances with people who are more pro-free trade than the European Union, have got a more intelligent approach to free trade agreements as a result, and incidentally, who collectively are bigger and faster growing than the European Union. So it's a very, very good alliance to be in. And so if we are in the position of negotiating through the next 2 years, not in the position that the government's proposal puts us in, but in a freer arrangement, whether it's WTO or other, there will be many, many opportunities for us arising from that, and our negotiating position will be stronger as a result. Now, Shanker laid out the alternative policy and negotiating strategy, but key to that, and I picked this up, key to that is having a very, very precise and clear idea of what it is that we want out of this. And Arlene's right. The union has held the pen through this process to some extent because Number 10 has been unwilling to. And we must go back to them with a proposed free trade treaty, the legal text thereof. Some of that already exists. There's already an alternative withdrawal agreement. Shanker's published that. But we will have a legal free trade text end of the month, something like that. It's already into several hundred pages status. So we will have this available. We will be able to go back and say, this is what we want. And by the way, Republic of Ireland, this is in your advantage. And by the way, Belgium and Netherlands, it's to your advantage. And by the way, Spain, it's to your advantage. And by the way, Bavaria and North Rhine-Westphalia, it actually allows you to sell cars and dairy products too. So it's beneficial to everybody. And that's where we should be going. In strands 2 and 3 of the diagrams of the process that you have in the electronic versions of this of the presentation today, you'll be able to see that the crystalline point here is when we go back to them with a clear offer, taking up Mr. Tusk and Mr. Barnier's comments in both March and October, that they are willing to see a strong free trade deal. I think Tusk used Canada plus, the phrase we coined on the fly. Then we will be in a strong position to carry this negotiation, and it will play into what the European Union's history tells you. And that is, they only negotiate sensibly and reasonably in the last month, week, day, sometimes hour of the negotiation. Those of you who talked to me about this process 2 years ago will remember I told you that then, and I said this will be the key time. So it is, and the point of today is to make sure we pick up Dominic's ambition, pick up the opportunity to win a brighter and better future. Thank you.
Yesterday, the Prime Minister wondered what the history books will make of all of this. I'd like to venture a few suggestions. She will be remembered as the Prime Minister who has presided over the biggest failure of government and leadership in the United Kingdom in modern times.
Hear, hear.
Instead of having the moral courage to face up to the fact that the EU referendum was won on the back of lies and fraud, she has instead set out to achieve the unachievable, a deal better than the deal we currently enjoy. In doing so, she has ignored the weight of expert evidence. She has ignored the economic assessments of her own government and advisers. And she has presided over a regime so incompetent and questionable that no deal government contracts are being awarded without competitive tendering to dubious entities without any legal justification whatsoever. And she spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on taxpayers' money trying to prevent us from knowing the answer to the question of whether Article 50 could be unilaterally revoked. She barely has the confidence of her own party, and they only put up with her because none of them have the gumption to step up to the plate to sort out this mess.
Correct.
It's likely that she soon won't have the confidence of this House, and in Scotland she's never had our confidence and she never will. She should not take the Scots for fools. The majority of us voted to remain, and the majority of Scots now realise that they were lied to during the 2014 independence referendum. Those lies, Mr. Speaker, were that Scotland was an equal partner and that the only way to guarantee staying in the EU was to vote to stay in the UK. The results of referendums won on the back of lies cannot stand, and that's why I'm voting down this deal. I want a second EU referendum, and there should also be a second Scottish independence referendum.
I appeal to members across the House. Now, we have in the SNP many friends across this place and many friends on the benches to my right. I'm appealing to the Labour Party. For goodness sake, get off the fence. Get off the fence. Because the young people that voted for Labour in England in 2017 will never forgive the Leader of the Opposition and his colleagues unless they recognise that this is the opportunity to unite this House, to vote down the government's deal, support a people's vote, allow the people to have their say on what they want. Will you do it? I can see the Honourable Chuntering, if he wishes to intervene and accept his responsibilities for once. Well, you can blow a kiss, but what you're doing is you're blowing a raspberry to the people of the United Kingdom. That's the reality, and it really is about time. If you're serious about politics, if you're serious about responsibility, then grow up. Grow up and accept responsibility, and don't dodge this. Don't dodge this. You know, it's little wonder that when we look at Scotland, that the people of Scotland have got a choice. And the Scottish National Party have been in government in Scotland since 2007. Well, I can hear people saying too long. But the fact of the matter is that we've won 3 elections on the trot to the Scottish Parliament, and we've won the last 2 elections to Westminster. And the party that's sitting in 3rd place in Scotland is the Labour Party. And the reason that the Labour Party are sitting in 3rd place in Scotland is because they're out of touch and out of step with the people of Scotland. I will happily do it.
I was absolutely. It comes as no surprise that when challenged by the leader of the SNP, nobody got up to defend the position of the Labour Party. Nobody. And what that tells us is that, does my honourable friend not agree with me? There is no such thing as a jobs-first Brexit. It's a myth.
I'm grateful for my honourable friend for that intervention, because he's absolutely right. And that's why I'm appealing to every member in this House to think about the people. Think about the people that have already lost their jobs. Think about the 1,000 people in the European Medicines Agency. Think about the 1,000 people in the European Banking Authority. Think about those at Jaguar Land Rover, and the workers at Jaguar Land Rover know that the Labour Party today are not going to lift a finger to protect their economic interests. That's the reality. A party that was once of the people that is just sitting back and failing to accept the responsibilities. Well, thank goodness, Mr. Speaker, in Scotland that we have an alternative, and the people of Scotland have watched everything which has gone on over the course of the last 2.5 years. Taking back control, they say. Well, my goodness, they've taken back control from the Parliament of Scotland. When this House pushed through the Withdrawal Act, what happened was, with responsibility over fisheries, over agriculture, over the environment, which were down in the Scotland Act when the Parliament was established, as matters which have devolved, supposed to be protected by the Sewell Convention. But of course, the government said, well, these are not normal times, and they grabbed powers, not so much against the Scottish Government and the Scottish Parliament, but grabbed powers against the people of Scotland that had voted for it in a referendum in 1997. That's the reality of the Conservatives that have always been hostile to devolution. And of course we're told, well, the people voted in 2016 and we should accept it. But of course the people of Scotland were told in our referendum in 2014, if we stayed in the United Kingdom, our rights within the EU would be respected.
Absolutely.
The fact that the people of Scotland voted by 62% to stay in the European Union is ignored by this government. The fact that the Scottish Parliament has said that we wish to stay as a very minimum in the single market and the customs union has been ignored by this government. Contempt for the institutions in Scotland, contempt for the cross-party unity that existed on these matters in Scotland. Mr. Speaker, the time is coming where the people of Scotland are going to have to reflect on how we are being treated, on how we are being ignored.
Listen to this.
The Scottish Parliament has a mandate for an independence referendum. And if and when the First Minister and the Scottish Government chooses to enforce that mandate, this House must respect the wishes of the Scottish people. I hope tonight that this House votes down the government's deal. I hope this House has the confidence to extend Article 50, to give the responsibility back to the people. But if this House is determined to push ahead with Brexit, the day when the people of Scotland will have to determine their own future, do we wish to be trailed to a United Kingdom that's going to damage our economic interests, or will we accept our responsibilities as a historic, independent European nation? Mr. Speaker, that day is coming, and it's coming soon.
We start with a historic day for British politics, where the Brexit deal has been rejected in the House of Commons. Just happening, the vote was 432 to 202. Today was one of the biggest days for Brexit since the referendum in 2016. This is now believed to be the biggest government defeat in history, and we are just 10 weeks away from the deadline from the UK to leave the European Union. For more, we turn to former member of Scottish Parliament, Tommy Sheridan. Tommy, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure.
Okay, so what do you make of the results?
How are we speaking tonight?
Yes.
Well, you know, this is an absolute disaster for malevolent May, for Mrs May, who has been in office since 2017, but she hasn't been in power. She has stumbled from resignation to defeat in Parliament, to being sanctioned by Parliament, and now tonight, and you've just given me the figure because that's just come in very, very shortly there, that is the biggest defeat, I think, in modern parliamentary history. So quite clearly what she should be doing now is resigning. The Labour Party and the Conservative Party fought the 2017 elections. Both of them fought on a Brexit platform. So both of them said, vote for us and we'll deliver Brexit. Well, unfortunately for Mrs May, she can't deliver it. She has to move over now, call a general election, and let's see if the Labour Party is able to deliver Brexit. England and Wales voted for Brexit. Scotland voted quite fundamentally by 62% against Brexit. So from my point of view as a Scottish politician, I am quite clear that what should happen is England and Wales should leave the European Union. That's what the people voted for. But Scotland should leave the UK, and we can then have our own referendum about whether we want to be part of the European Union. And it may be that I would certainly have questions about the European Union, but people in Scotland would probably vote for it. But whatever happens over this next couple of days, it's quite clearly unprecedented disaster for the Conservatives.
Well, it's interesting. You bring up a really good point that not only the vote of today, how it's going to affect, but that there's lots of other issues, as in the sovereignty of Scotland separating from the rest of UK, that this is going to affect. So let's talk about, let's say Prime Minister Theresa May does take your advice and she does resign. Would that not throw the UK into even more of a chaotic situation than it already is at this point in changing leadership?
You know, it is difficult when the House is on fire to make that fire any worse. The House is on fire now. Westminster is on fire. What needs to happen is there needs to be a clearance of the old guard. Mrs May called an election in 2017 that she didn't need to call, and she lost 22 of her seats. She has been fatally wounded politically since 2017. She has lost her authority. And it's from that point of view that this is the final humiliation for Mrs May. If she stands aside now and we go to a general election, the European Union will agree to freeze the Article 50, the withdrawal process. They'll freeze that. And what then may happen is, according to the polls, the Labour Party will be elected and they will then try and negotiate a different withdrawal agreement. A withdrawal agreement that has a customs union, a withdrawal agreement that retains some freedom of movement, a withdrawal agreement that hopefully retains some workers' rights. That I can see as the only next step, because there is no other choice in the Westminster Parliament that commands a majority. And particularly, I have to say this, that there is a lot of noise, a lot of white noise about the idea of a new referendum. Well, I've got to say there is no democratic legitimacy behind a new Brexit referendum, because in the 2017 election, 90% of the people who voted in that election voted for parties who wanted to deliver Brexit. So there is no democratic basis for calling a new Brexit election, but there is a basis to call a general election. And that's what we need, a general election, to get rid of Theresa May and to get rid of their cuts in welfare and their cuts in living standards, which is dragging so many people's lives down.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the leadership, because like you pointed out, these past elections, even for Brexit itself, the people, when given the choice, voted to leave, and that was years ago. But obviously some things have happened since then. What is the sentiment there on the ground in Scotland, but also across the UK? Do you see a sense in what people are thinking now as compared to the past when they voted for Brexit in the first place?
Well, let's remember, there is not a big time frame here. We're not talking about many, many years ago. The referendum on Brexit took place on June 23rd, 2016, just around 2 years ago. That produced a result in Scotland, which was decisively against Brexit. But in England and in Wales, it was in favour of Brexit. The overall figure...
In my robot coupe, it's slow and it's lean, with the styrene sheen. This baby moves faster miles an hour. Destination's unclear, but it's miles from here. Step inside, draw the love with the power. It
took the long road home, past the trees and
Track playing now. Dano, The Long Road Home.
I took the long road home, just to see what I could see. Well, it was a big wide world out there, filled with sunshine and a sky with air. And the world, it said, with a small still breath, thanks for coming just to see me. I took the long road home, by the toads in the grass, while the lightning bugs last. I took the long road home, just to see what I could see. Well, it was a big wide world out there, filled with sunshine and a sky with air. And the world, it said, with a small still breath, thanks for coming just to see me.
Me and the boys were sitting around drinking, we was talking about things that we was thinking, when all of a sudden, what comes out of Bill's mouth?
Track playing now. Bill Shostak, One More Party.
From nights of rabble, rousing and too much fun. Well, I looked around and we all agreed, and I had a drink and I ordered 3, and I staggered back to do it all again. And we made an oath on a rum and coke with the best intention, I'm sure you know, that we would stop this living in excess. We're gonna have one more party, one more special occasion. Do it Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, holidays and weekends. We can have one more party. There's more hell we should be raising. One more party now, one more party tonight. Well, I got home about 3:15 that afternoon. She was waiting for me, all dressed to kill, and headed out the door. She said, see you later, baby, I'm going out alone. You can watch your kids, you can answer the phone, but don't wait up, cause I'm staying out all night. Well, I got real nervous and I started to shake, and I got the point she was trying to make. I begged her not to go, but she just laughed. She said, don't forget the dishes, and don't forget the floor, and don't forget to lock the door. There's somewhere I gotta be, and I'm running late. I'm gonna have one more party, one more special occasion. Do it Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, holidays and weekends. We can have one more party. There's more hell we should be raising. One more party now, one more party tonight. Well, I quit my drinking and staying out late, and I feel pretty good, but I don't feel great, and I know that this is as good as it will get. But the sun shines bright, I'm a happy home, and me and the wife, we don't fight no more, and all this love's not hard for me to take. When I've been working hard all day, and I get home, she wants to play, but there's kids and dogs to feed and grass to mow. So we clean up the kitchen and we sit on the couch and we practice a little mouth to mouth, and then the next thing you know it's off to bed we go. We're gonna have one more party, one more special occasion. Do it Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, holidays and weekends. We can have one more party. There's more love we should be making. One more party now, one more party tonight. One more party now, one more party tonight.
The coolest radio station in the world, Radio Ice, from Independent TV and Radio Scotland.
Track playing now. Josh Woodward, Already There.
Wondering, for years I was adrift, directionless and wayward, lost like a swallow on a cliff. But slowly I found purpose and my life became more clear. I found my destination, yeah, but now where do I go from here? 'Cause I'm already there, I'm already everywhere. I'm already there, I'm already everywhere. I've got a wife, 2 kids and a picket fence. Everything was hazy, now it's making sense. Alright, I made it, so now what? I paid my dues in factories, I worked until I bled. The suffering made me stronger, so I pushed to get ahead. And now I'm perched above the factory floor, looking down at my friends below. In my comfy car I drive away, but there is nowhere left to go. 'Cause I'm already there, I'm already everywhere. I'm already there, I'm already everywhere. I've got a wife, 2 kids and a picket fence. Everything was hazy, now it's making sense. Alright, I made it, so now what? Told me that when the race is done, the finish line's behind you, and you have lost or you have won. The crowd goes home and you're still standing on that empty track. The lights are out, the crowd is gone, but there's no going back. 'Cause you're already there, you're already everywhere. You're already there, you're already everywhere. Oh, I'm already there, I'm already everywhere. I'm already there, I'm already everywhere.
You never saw my full potential. All these things that you could give.
Next up is Semi-Automatic, In Your Eyes.
I remember I was screaming when it
got violent.
It's true. In this life, in your eyes.
All you saw was a broken mirror.
Listen, you never saw my full potential. All you saw were all the things for me that you could get. And even reminiscing over all the things we've been through. The thought lingers on how you said I was a regret.
Shit.
Broken mirrors. Shattered my reflection. People in your life can be a blessing. Either that or end up as a lesson. Type these thoughts and send it as a message. It's all your fault, I told you not to text me. Blaming you was easier than me. Containing proof is needed when discreet. The fact of the matter is that factual matter are just actually atoms that contain emptiness. So to ask what's the matter when the practical matter matters nothing to you, why would I explain what it is? That's a mind fuck, a definite mind, but you ain't see it. You're a blind fucking infinite blind, but you're needed. I don't need your approval, we don't need to start over. I don't need your renewal, all I needed was you, and I was down, I was sitting cry. You don't know how many times that I wish I died. You don't know how many times that I counted on you, but I know how many times that you didn't try.
It's true.
It's true.
In this life, in your eyes.
All you saw was a broken mirror.
I remember I was screaming when it got violent.
It's true.
It's true.
In this life, in your eyes.
All you saw was a broken mirror.
Once again, listen, you never saw my full potential. All you saw were all the things for me that you could get. And while I'm reminiscing over all the things we've been through, the thought lingers on how you said I wouldn't be shit. Thoughts linger on how you said I wouldn't be this. You were at peace with the fact I couldn't eat, but little did you know there were little in my flow. What only helped me grow, say your ignorance was bliss. I heard another hiss from the snake garden. I found out my best friends were my enemies. Thinking back on all the shit I would take part in. I'm just thankful that it didn't put an end to me. I remember I was screaming when it got violent. I remember putting cheese in the top ramen. I remember how uncomfortable you made me feel. I couldn't hear myself think when it got silent. Back then, what about now, huh? While I'm up, you wishing you stayed down, huh? Envious of my life and my health and the ice and the wealth. Now you wanna come around, huh? You don't know how many times I would sit and cry. You don't know how many times that I wish I died. You don't know how many times that I counted on you, but I know how many times that you didn't try.
It's true.
It's true.
In this life,
In this
I've
life,
never been the one. In your eyes,
in your eyes.
never been the truth. All you saw was a broken mirror.
I remember I was screaming when it got violent.
It's true.
It's true.
In this life,
In this life,
never been the one. In your eyes,
in your eyes.
never been the truth. All you saw was a broken mirror.
Next up is Redneck Surfers, that's why.
Maybe I can choose not to forget. Maybe I can take the pain away. All is forgiven. Maybe I can prove my innocence. Maybe I can carry away. It can. All is forgotten now. Sorry, how to live. I
Playing now. Jeff Hurley, Kelly, now to you.
I saw your photograph as it flickered in the light. I had to stop and try to understand. It seems so long since you've been gone. The faded images that were captured on the run bring back the memories of the things we've said and done.
You're listening to Independent TV and Radio Scotland, Channel Radio Ice.
Now playing Josh Woodward, Golden Sunrise.
Behind the shadows, like an orphaned refugee, the apple tree of knowledge shed its fruit along the way. The injury is fading, but the hunger's here to stay until the day when there's no memory of what we used to be. The sun engulfs the sky, the brightness overwhelming to the unadjusted eye. We're taught to follow blindly like there's nothing here to see. A slave to some philosophy will somehow make you free, and you will be so gladly handcuffed and lightened from a virtue. The question is a sin. Is there no remedy for the state that we are in? With knowledge on a leash, it's like a terminal disease, and we won't be awake to see that we are fading out.
Next we have Unreal VN, Talk to Me.
Rumors spinning around, coming right to my door.
Playing now. Daniel Kaur, Gray.
Black is white, but life is gray. Day brings light, but light brings shade. I want to hide my tears in the pouring rain, but I'm afraid to step outside, 'cause I know I'm just not alright. If I were a bird, I would care to fly. I find life in the death of day, and I find peace within the fray, but life and peace too slowly fade away. 'Cause innocence takes forever to find, but I don't live my life with forever in mind. I'm busy searching for a smile to hide behind. As the storm clouds roll across my lonesome sky, there's no hiding, there's no shelter for me this time. So hey there, hurricane, it's now or never. You let fly. Black is white, but life is gray. Death is life, but life is pain. I long to cry these tears in your pouring rain. So hey there, hurricane, it's now or never. You and
Next up is Shane Ivers, Walk Happy.
You're listening to Independent TV and Radio Scotland. Channel Radio ICE.
Why even try to justify leaving? Why not just run away?
Next up is Josh Woodward, shot down.
Nothing you say can change the way he feels. Nothing could save you now. So just let this go. Every collapse that came to pass faded out of your memory. All of the times he left you blind, jaded, down on your aching knees. Why won't you see the lies that he's telling? Why don't you give it up and just to let him go? Shot down with no sound to the cold ground below. On the side of the street, you're on your feet, so take a step and calmly walk away. Your heart on a string without a wing flying, no one to hold the kite. He let you go, but still you blow by, oblivious to the height. Check out behind and you will find nothing's holding you to the ground. He just let you go. Shot down with no sound to the cold ground below. On the side of the street, you're on your feet, so take a step and calmly walk away. Don't let him pull you down. Just let him drown alone. Be your land. Someday you will find a truer hand. I know you tried to see his side clearly. I know you gave your all. I know you died a little inside when nobody heard your call. Every mistake you come to make grows and echoes inside your brain. You need to let them go. Shot down with no sound to the cold ground below. On the side of the street, you're on your feet, so take a step and calmly walk away. Shot down with no sound to the cold ground below. On the side of the street, you're on your feet, so take a step and calmly walk away. Take a step and calmly walk away.
Next up is Brian Boyko, Punkline. Next we have the Trout Society, the Job Shopper Rap.
My name is Hutch and my IQ's high. I'm the best damn shopper that money can buy. You need me to do this job for you, cause the captains you got don't have a clue.
Roy Boy here, now I've got reason to stew. I staggered to work, smelling like brew. Here's the reason I scream and shout. I was late again, something blew me out. Jack's my name and I can't settle down. I love to travel from town to town. There's good reason that I move so much. My wives, the IRS and such.
With a job shop, designing crew, sucking up OT, and PD2. If the job runs late, we work some more. Cut an OT and you're out the door.
My name is Al and my tongue's on fire. Some folks say I'm a chronic liar. Stories I tell may be stretched a bit, but that doesn't mean that I'm full of...
That man's my name on my mahogany roll. Don't tell me your problems, I don't want to know. Just keep working that frantic pace while I sit in my office and stuff my face.
Yo, Randy here, and don't you know, I leave me a family wherever I go. I don't want to hear that the rabbit died. I moved to another city and hide.
My name is Paul, it designs my life. I love pig iron more than my wife. I got no use for the guys that stress. Ton of raw stock ought to do it, I guess.
My name is Lee, I'm a straight-laced twit. I think about numbers and that's about it. Don't mind the gravy stains on my tie. I bought it that way back in 45.
We are the job shop, designing crew, sucking up OT, and PD2. If the job runs late, we work some more. Cut our OT, and we're out the door.
Next we have Josh Woodward, Crazy Glue.
There's no magnet that was in your heart. The one restriction was the friction that was keeping us a little too far apart. Well, why fight it? I was secretly delighted. I gave chase and then I let you win. You felt lovely when you loved me like a fool, but now I can't let go of your skin. You know that I never knew that you are crazy glue, my darling, and I'm stuck to you, but I'm cozy and I don't wanna wiggle loose. You're honey like a finger in the beehive. The bees are buzzing in a tizzy fit, and they're stinging, but I'm singing like a fool, 'cause you're as sweet as a banana split. You're sticky like a hippie in the summer. You're like syrup in the slushy tray. And one touch of you and I will never leave, 'cause I believe I can't get away. You know that I never knew that you are crazy glue, darling, and I'm stuck to you, but I'm cozy and I don't wanna wiggle loose. I don't wanna wiggle loose. Hold on to me, and hand in hand we'll follow. Hold on to me, as if you had a choice.
wiggle loose. I don't want to wiggle loose.
The coolest radio station in the world, Radio Ice, from Independent TV and Radio Scotland.
Start it up then.
Track playing now. Lost European Book.
Anytime you're ready, darling.
track playing now. Bill Shostak, Love There's Fire.
I heard the sirens, I heard the bells. From down the street I could hear the yells. I turned to watch as the flames grew higher. 'Cause where there's love, there's fire. When Romeo found Juliet, she would not wait. Pyramus and Thisbe made the same mistake. To prove their love, they went to the extreme. The tragedy of errors of Midsummer Night's Dream. For aught that I could ever read, could ever hear by tale or history, the course of true love won't walk the tight wire. 'Cause where there's love, there's fire. This is love that had a man in her sights, but her love for him he would not requite. And so about his Lucy, she did lie. It's a dog world, so beware of that eye. So goes the tale of Benjamin Barker. God was jealousy, but oh so much darker. Though he got even, it led to his pyre. 'Cause where there's love, there's fire. While the house is burning to the ground, both neighbors laugh to gather round. Love's not the same, you'll hear them say. They forget what happened in their day. Love's not the same, you'll hear them say. They forget what happened in their day. She left the cigarettes early that night. Someone else's flame or light. She burned him good, ignored his desire. 'Cause where there's love, there's fire. She burned him good, ignored his desire. 'Cause where there's love, there's fire. 'Cause where there's love, there's fire.
Next up is Josh Woodward, Morning Blue.
This morning on the wrong side of the bed, the hazy sunrise wraps a veil round my head. I can't get motivated, the swimming thoughts are drowning in my head. And if by some coincidence I do just what they said, and the morning blue is warning you, the avalanche is storming through in the dawn of the morning blue. Just take me away. Every season, and the patriotic treason, the ringing of the bells, the avalanche of sorrow, and the soul afraid to borrow. There is not a day tomorrow, it's all about today. And the morning blue is warning you, the Sabbath find it. Take my hand or take a stand, and I would never mind it. Sit and stare or say a prayer for all you left behind. Call me, just never be the last one left in line. This morning on the wrong side of the bed. I should have stayed in bed and slept all day instead. There ain't no profit in this day that lies ahead. These blurry images still echo in my